Hi, it's Maria here, and I just want to welcome you to my channel where I'm going to be giving tips and tricks and advice, little tutorials on painting, impressionism, different styles, on oil painting, on acrylics, and just generally doing what I love to do. And I think it's a really good time to do it. Now it's a great time. I've got extra time on my hands, and this is a good time for hobbies. And I'm sure a lot of people have got some paints stuck up in the attic or stuck away in a drawer somewhere, because a lot of people at one time or another took up art as a hobby. And those paints maybe just be lying around, and this is a really good time to get back to hobbies, get them out again and use them and create some pictures, and it's just really enjoyable, really relaxing. So just to tell you what I'm doing here, I'm just going to talk over. I've speeded this video up a little bit, and I've painted a background in a red colour, a deep red colour, which you might think is a bit strange, but it's very good. Just I like to get rid of the cold white background, and I'm just filling in really in a dark colour. I'm using a very dark blue, and just filling in, just drawing in really with the brush, drawing in the details of this painting. It's like a little sketch, but it doesn't matter about this sketch because I can always paint over it if I don't like it. So here you can see I've started the picture using the darkest colour, and now I'm beginning to add in a lighter colour, so I'm going from dark to light. I've begun this painting in acrylics. Acrylics are very, very easy to work with, but I'm going to complete the painting with oils. And the beauty of acrylics is that each medium has got pros and cons. And the pros of acrylics are they dry very quickly, they're clean, they're easy to work with. They kind of seal the canvas. They put a seal on the canvas. So it's a very easy, simple foundation to work with. But oils also have beautiful qualities, and I just love oils. They're very luminous. They create a texture, which you don't tend to get so much with acrylics. I don't like the texture so much of acrylics. It looks a bit plasticky. But with oils, you can build up beautiful brush marks, and also they're luminous, so you can, the opaque colours, you can see through them. And as you add layer upon layer, you get more depth of colour. So I'm continuing on here with the acrylic. And as you can see, I'm getting lighter. I'm sticking with the blue. And I'm working from darks to lights and filling in there around the line of the horizon. And always there on the horizon line, you get that paler colour. It's just a little tip. You'll get the paler colour lower down to where the sky meets the land. That's where you're getting the brightest colour, and then it gets darker as you go up higher into the sky. Also there on the horizon line, you're going to get more opaque colours. And what I mean by that is your intense bright and dark colours are going to be either at the top or the bottom of the painting. And the top and the bottom are the foreground really, and the background is what you're seeing, where those trees are and those mountains on the horizon. So your background is going to be more washed out. And it makes sense because, you know, there's a lot between you and the mountains in the distance. There's clouds, there's water in the air, and that water, those water droplets and clouds and fog and mist are going to bring in more light and more brightness, and they're going to dull down the colours. So the intense colours are going to be near you, and the lighter, paler, washier colours are going to be further back in the distance. So that's how you bring distance into how you create distance in a picture. So yeah, I'm bringing in some greens in here and just spreading them around the painting. As you can see, I took a break there and I've stopped using acrylics now, and this is my oil palette. I've mixed up the oils and I've, just taken a few basic dark colours with the oil. I think I put down a yellow, an orange, a type of rose madder colour, sort of a purpley red, pinky red, and I have a blue and white, and I've mixed those together and I've added more white into them to bring me up the scale. So from a dark blue I've created pale blues and different blues in between. And so now I can just go to my palette and lift off those colours and use them directly on the painting. So it's a good little technique I've picked up from other artists, that if you prepare a palette in advance, it'll help you be cleaner in your work. You don't have to go mixing up colours. And I tend to be quite lazy. I don't like cleaning my brushes. I'm a bit lazy in that way. Sometimes I just get carried away with what I'm doing and I don't feel like cleaning the brushes, but that's not good practice. It's better to keep washing your brushes, and then you get more pure paint and purer colours, and your painting doesn't get as muddy or as dirty. But also preparing your palette in advance and mixing up lots of nice colours for yourself. That's also a really good way of keeping your painting bright and clean, because working with oils, you can very quickly get muddy. The paints just mix together. If you're layering paints over one another, they can get, what started out as a beautiful red and a beautiful blue and a beautiful yellow, when you mix them all up together, what do you get? You get a muddy, horrible brown. So you want to keep your palette clean, and you want to keep your brushes. You want to look after your brushes. So what I'm using is a lot of different brushes. I'm picking up, I've got a collection of different brushes and I'm picking them up. I'm working on each brush. I've got a different colour on. So maybe I'm using one brush for the blues, another brush for the darks, another brush for the pale colours. And here I'm working on grasses in the foreground, and I'm bringing in some greens. And there isn't really a lot of planning gone into this. I am just really feeling my way around here, playing around with the colour, playing around with the brush. You can see right here I'm holding the brush. Sometimes I'm holding it at the top, and other times I'm holding the brush way back at the stem. Let's call it the stem of the brush, the very end of the brush. And other times here, I'm going back, holding it very far away, and I find that gives me a looser, freer type of brush mark. It's less straight lines, it's less firm lines. But when I start moving up the brush, like now, it's when I want to control the marks I'm making. I want to be more definite, more planned when I'm holding the brush up near the fibre tip. But sometimes when I want to create looser, more woody, more like the stems, I will go back and hold the brush at the very end. So you can see here now I'm adding little flowers, or what suggestion of flowers in here. And I'm bringing in a warm colour more towards the foreground. So yeah, these would be like, wildflowers, wheat type of grasses that are very orangey, yellowy, mixed in with the green as well. You can still see some of my ground. At the very beginning, as you saw, I started out with a red background. And we call that the ground in a painting, and everything is painted on top of that ground. And sometimes the reason a lot of the old masters used, I think they used burnt sienna, which was an orangey, reddy brown, earthy colour. And it makes sense to use an earthy colour underneath because the ground actually is earthy brown and reddy brown. That's really what lies under everything. And so when you build up those greens on top of your earth, you're getting that warm colour coming through, which can add some vibrancy and colour into the painting. Also, by not starting with a white ground or a white background, a white is very stark, and your blacks, and well, I don't ever use pure black, and I'll explain that again, but the darker shades look very stark against the white, so it's hard to judge the tone of your colours. Whereas if you start with the middle colour, that dark red colour that I started with, I know then when I lay a pale colour, I know I can see the gradation much faster. I can see the opposites, the pale colours on the red and the dark colours on the red. I can see how they can work together. So it helps. It just helps to see the general overall trend of colour that I'm laying down. So yeah, just stepping back here, I think for a moment I was stepping back and having a look at it. I'm going back again. I was working from darks to lights, and then I started going back to the darks again, and now I'm coming back with my lights, my lighter colours again in the oils. I'm just working on this very loose sky using, this is actually a really tiny canvas. It's only about, it's under a foot wide. I think it's maybe 10 inches by 8 inches or something like that. It's very small. I like to work on much larger canvases. But at the moment what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to it's a while since I've done some large paintings like this in a body of work. I had an exhibition just over 12 months ago. It was the very end of 2018, and I had it in a restaurant here in Cork. Cork City is where I live in Ireland, and it was lovely, a lovely restaurant called the Key Co-op, and they use the rooms of the restaurant as spaces for exhibitions for artists, and it was a lovely space, and really enjoyed putting that body of work together. But what sometimes happens is after I did so much work for that exhibition, what sometimes happens is I take a break, and kind of taken a long break this time. And you know, during this time I've got a lot more free time because of the social distancing that's going on at the moment. I have time on my hands now, and it's a good time to keep myself busy and go back to my painting. And it's the great thing about painting. It's like reading. It's like being able to read, being able to write. You have it for life. You have it no matter what age you are. It goes on and on. A job is going to last for a season in your life. Having children, family, that's a season in your life. But the things that you have, the gifts that you have, the abilities you have, they're things you can take with you for the whole of your life. And I'm just so grateful that I have this during this time where I can go and develop this craft, go and develop my abilities a bit more, and share them with other people. And I really hope that I can encourage people to go back. If you've ever done any bit of painting, if you've got some oils or acrylics or even watercolours, whatever you have, really the technique I'm using there, just simply playing around with colour in a very impressionistic, loose style. Some people might call it expressionistic, maybe it's somewhere in between. It's quite playful. You're probably wondering, what am I using reference material? I do have a few images that I am looking at, but not looking at them all the time, of other landscapes and trees. And I tend to sometimes have my own store of photographs that I've taken. Excuse me, my dog wants to get in, so I'm going to have to let in my little West Highland Terrier. So often, in the summertime here in Ireland, we go to Kerry, and the colours I see, I see so many wildflowers in Ireland, and the colours I see along the coast are not just green. I think a lot of people think Ireland is green and everything has to be green and blue skies or grey skies. But the colours I see are along the coast. There's a lot of yellows. The grasses do tend to go scraggy and wild and yellowish. And there's gorse and there's other wild flowers. A lot of them are yellow. And it just makes up this very, very colourful, that's what I see, a very, very colourful landscape. Often when I photograph it, those colours don't come out. The colours actually look more green or more muted. But when I'm actually in the landscape, I see vivid colours. So often photography isn't the best way of capturing a landscape. I think photographs just read general colours, and they just print. The printer just prints general colours. It reads an overall reading from the painting. This is generally green. Whereas what I'm looking at is just multicoloured. So that's the beauty about painting. You can bring in the colours that you've actually seen. But I would use as reference material photographs that I've taken. During the summertime, I take a lot of photographs of the sea, of the skies, of the land, the grasses, the sand dunes, the wildflowers, and I walk in them and I love them. And it's a real pleasure to be able to paint them. Irish skies, you can never stop looking at the skies in Ireland. I love when I go to Spain. I love the blue sky for a few weeks, but the skies we have here can be so dramatic, with the shapes of the clouds coming in from that Atlantic, and the winds and the weather, and the mark the weather leaves on the landscape, the blowing of the grasses. And I'm trying here to bring in the movement in these grasses, because they move. They're constantly moving and blowing and swirling in the wind and changing. And every cloud that passes over the landscape changes the colours dramatically. Very rarely would I paint outdoors. Sometimes I've done sketches, and within a few minutes I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the whole landscape has changed. A cloud has passed. All my colours are gone. There's a brand new landscape in front of me, which has got totally different colours. And so it's very hard to paint outdoors in Ireland unless you're working very quickly. Yeah, I'm just want to go back to the painting here for a moment. I am bringing in paler colours on the horizon. On that line where the hedge really, or the hedgerow, meets the grasses. And now again I'm lightening up the foreground, bringing in the impression of flowers or grasses, heads of grasses, seeds, whatever you see blowing around in the wind. Just bringing, I'm using a smaller brush, as you can see. So I started the painting with larger brushes, and when you come to detail, I'm using smaller brushes and smaller little marks, and I've just made a few little heads of wildflowers there. I'm trying to keep that painting alive, and not overdoing it is just always such a challenge for me, because when I, there is always the danger, and it's a fierce danger of you've put a lot of work into a painting and it's really coming along and it's really looking beautiful, and then you don't stop. I have a tendency of, I keep going. And this is where I am with this painting right at the moment. Maybe it's time to stop. So I'm having a look at it here, trying to analyze. Sometimes when you're right up close to a painting, you don't really see it very clearly. You need to get up and stand back, and you can see there's a shadow coming back across that painting there as I'm standing back and thinking about it. I've got this speeded up. My hand does not move that fast, so I've doubled the speed of this picture. It's about 25 minutes long, but if I, it would have been 50 minutes if I had left it at full speed. I don't know if anybody has the patience to listen to me and watch what I'm doing for 50 minutes. So I just speeded it up, double the speed, and I've put a voice over onto it. So I'm just watching it and talking over it. So yeah, this is, I knew when I came to this part of the painting, just having that struggle, is it time to stop? I overdoing it? But I did feel I needed to add in some more dark lines, more to deepen the shadows, deepen the foreground, bring in more contrast. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going between those little blooms and darkening it down. So yeah, I'm hoping to do a series of these, and so I'd really would love if people would comment and let me know if this is useful, if this is something you'd like to see more of, or if you'd like to see me doing different types of work, or if I'm leaving anything out, you want to know more about what I'm doing, the technique. So I'm going to be putting these up over the next few weeks, and hopefully I'll keep doing it. If people like them, of course, I'll keep doing it. And I just really hope that it encourages other people. I was just writing down a few little things about painting. It's relaxing. So isn't it lovely just to go relax? The other thing, when I'm out about walking, and this is a good time to get out walking, coming into the spring, the summer, when I'm out walking, it makes me look more closely and appreciate nature more when I know I'm going to be painting it. And I can take my camera out with me and take more photos. Okay, what I did here was I turned the light on. The light, I have a spotlight, and I realised at that point there that the light was fading in the day. I'm also bringing, I had some of that purple on the left hand side of the painting, kind of heathery colour. I'm bringing it across. I felt it was unbalanced having all the purple on the left, and I'm bringing it across, and this is kind of artistic license because I'm just spreading the purple all around the painting. But obviously I don't want to spread it too much, so I think I'm gone back with some of those oranges again, working into them. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, because you'll know then when I bring another painting. What I might do is go back over this painting again. It's not completely finished, and I'll do some final touches and I'll show it to you in a future video. If you're interested in seeing this work, this painting again, do stay tuned or subscribe, and to the channel, and then you'll get the updates and you'll know what I'm doing. Or put a comment in underneath if there's any way I can help you. Yeah, I just stopped here and I'm zooming in. Slightly out of focus, so I'm sorry about that, but that's the work as I left it. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this inspires people to get back and